Hi everyone, welcome to week 4 of our class. Like I've been doing the past few weeks, I want to provide you with a bit of an intro to what we'll be doing in class this week. So we're going to be going to our classroom, of course. I'm going to go down to week 4, and you'll see a brief overview here of what will be due. It's pretty standard. This is what is due most weeks. You'll have discussion board posts due Wednesday and Friday, and you have some weekly writing that you'll need to turn in on Sunday. What we'll be focusing on this week is preparing for writing project 2. So you'll be reading a student sample, you'll be doing some pre-writing, you'll be coming up with a thesis, a bunch of things that are designed to help you be successful with this upcoming project. Task 4.1, you have some readings here to do. We have one on thesis statements, one on beginning and ending, and one on guiding your reader. Now, there are no assignments associated with these readings. These are just readings that will be helpful to you as you do begin some of your pre-writing for this project. Especially thesis statements, you'll be developing a thesis statement this week, and reading this chapter and looking at their examples I think will be helpful to you. All right, let's go on to our next task. Task 4.2 is the main chunk of pre-writing we'll be doing for this project. You'll also be creating an outline later on this week. You have two options for your pre-writing. You can choose either. Or if you think it would be helpful to you to do both, you're welcome to do that. It's only required that you do one, however. My recommendation is that you do option 1. Option 1 is more detailed and I think will better guide you through coming up with ideas for this project. But if you want to do option 2, that is your choice. When you're completing option 1, you'll notice here under step 2 that there are a bunch of things that it's asking you to think about. Make sure that you address each of these things. Some of them may not be as relevant to your images as they might be to other people's, but I would still like to see something written down for each of these. So each question that you see here, try to write something down. And the more detailed that you can be, not only will that give me a better idea of your thought process, but I think it will also help you when it comes time to write the project if you have more pre-writing to draw from. All right, let's go on to our next task. For task 4.3, you'll be coming up with a thesis for this project. Here we have 4 different examples of what a thesis for this project might look like. So for instance, as Kilbourne suggests, women are often relegated to the role of faceless object or trophy in magazines, and my 2 advertisements reveal this idea through their verbal and visual content. And now each of the thesis statements that you read here, you're going to notice that they all mention the lens text. So this one mentions Kilbourne, this one also mentions Kilbourne. Here below illustrate Kilbourne's conclusions, and this one illustrate Katz's key claim. So all of these thesis statements are making it clear what the lens text is, and that will be important that you do that as well. You'll also notice that each of these thesis statements directly refers to the images that are going to be analyzed. So here this person says, my 2 advertisements. Here they say the 2 images below, and then they say what the images are. This one, 2 images below from PETA. So not only are they mentioning the lens text, making it clear what their lens is, they're also making it clear which images that they're going to be analyzing. You'll notice that each of these is making a claim, something that is arguable about these images. And you'll also notice that each of these is only making a claim about the images. So these thesis statements and this project shouldn't focus on the media in general, because that is something that would be very hard to prove. That's kind of outside of the scope of this project. it'll be much easier for you to prove something about the images that you are analyzing than it will be to try to develop a persuasive claim about all of media. So when you're developing your thesis, make sure that it's focusing just on your images. And as a reminder, you the images need to be related to each other in some way. Ideally, your images are doing a similar thing. Maybe they're both presenting women in the same way. Um, or if you want to, you could even contrast them. So, perhaps one image uh, portrays men negatively, the other one portrays men as being more positive, something along those lines. But there needs to be some sort of connection. You need to have a unified central claim. So you shouldn't be arguing kind of two separate things about your images. Overall, there needs to be one main thing that you are arguing. All right, let's see. Let's go on to our next task. Here you will be coming up with an outline for this project. There are two sample outlines below. These are very, very bare bones. When you are creating your outline, you will need to go into a lot more detail. You'll notice the instruction says you must be more specific in terms of your details. So these give you an idea of the breakdown of your paper. You will need to fill in specifically what these things are. And these are just two options. These are two things that make a lot of sense. It would make sense if you organized your project this way. That does not mean that this is the only way to organize this project. But if you are unsure about how you should order your ideas, both of these sample outlines are tried and true methods. Next, you'll be reading a sample draft of Writing Project 2, and you'll also be critiquing it. Now, notice here it says, please read the sample draft and answer discussion board questions about it. The questions are not here on this task. Your task here is just to read the sample paper, and it wouldn't be a bad idea for you to jot down some notes as you did that. The questions that it refers to are in task 4.6. So you have a discussion board due Wednesday, and it's asking you to read the sample paper. And also, before you read the paper, review the assignment description and info posted about thesis statements and organization patterns, and ask yourself whether the student writer is doing the things asked of him or her. So it kind of defeats the purpose for you to read the student sample and critique it without first having a pretty thorough knowledge of what the assignment is. So make sure that you know what to look for before reading the student sample. After that, you are going to write down what you see as the strengths and weaknesses of the sample. And then you're going to answer these couple of questions. What is the student doing well in the draft? What could the student improve on? And then for Friday, you are going to have a second post. You're going to post your tentative thesis. Tentative means it's not set in stone. You're coming up with a thesis that you think might work, but you're always welcome to change it to improve it later on. You can also post any concerns you have about your thesis statement. And on top of that, we have two things going on here. You're going to respond to at least two of your classmates' posts from the week. You can give them your thoughts on their thesis statements. You can talk about their comments on the student sample. I will mostly be looking to see that you have thoughtfully and thoroughly responded to your peers in some way. And then on our last page here, of course, you'll just be submitting the writing that you did. Specifically, you'll be submitting what you did for tasks 4.2, 4.3, and 4.4. Okay, I think that should give you a pretty good idea of what we're doing this week. The last thing I'll say is keep in mind that there are lots of things in the Student Success Gallery. If we go to week 4, you'll see some pre-writing samples. So if you want to see how other people have done their pre-writing, you can do that. Just make sure that you're producing your own pre-writing. You wouldn't want to plagiarize someone else's. All right. As always, let me know if you have any questions.